2025? We will soon find out. Up next, it's the North-South All-Star Football Classic edition of our Go-Mart Friday Night Rivals Game of the Week, presented by Eyewitness Sports. We welcome you inside beautiful Black Eagles Stadium on the campus of South Charleston High School in South Charleston, West Virginia, where today some of the best senior football players from the season of 2024 are about to take the field, and we are excited to bring it your way on this North-South edition of our Go-Mart Friday Night Rivals Game of the Week, presented by Eyewitness Sports. Greetings from South Charleston, along with the former South Cardinal, Jim Mahan, our analyst, Hannah Klein, on the sidelines, and our wonderful crew. I'm Mark Martin, delighted to have you with us. 1979, Jim, you were in this game, and I know each year this brings back a lot of great memories.
Great memories, great friendships, and just a wonderful time held by all.
And the South won that year, too, with you as one of the captains. All right, let's check out the coaches for this year's Classic, and we will begin with the North Bears, who are guided by Dustin Koger. Coach Koger has been the head coach of his alma mater, Lewis County High School, since 2015. He's led 4 teams to the state playoffs. He graduated from Lewis County High School in 2002, was part of the school's first playoff team in 2001 as a lineman. He moved on to Fairmont State and played for the Falcons, lettering all 4 years. Jason Nichols guides the South in 2025. Coach Nichols has directed the Clay County High School football program since 2016. 4 of his Panther teams have been to the playoffs. Coach Nichols is a proud 1995 graduate of Clay County High School and later Marshall University. He becomes the second head coach from Clay County High School to guide the South, joining the late, great Ron Sirk, who directed the Cardinals in 1993. It has been a great week. The players and coaches arrived at West Virginia State and nearby Institute on Sunday to begin training camp. Lots of work along with great activities. Now it is game time. The kickoff is coming up here on this North-South edition of the Go-Mart Friday Night Rivals Game of the Week, presented by Eyewitness Sports. We are getting set for the kickoff here of this North-South Classic in 2025 captains meeting at midfield. That's where you were, Jim, in 1979. You were one of the 4 South captains.
Quite an honor, excuse me, quite an honor, Mark, to be a part of that, along with Kurt Warner as a captain. Denny, not Denny Ballard, but I'll think of him in just a minute. My memory's kind of slipping here after 47 years.
Well, an honor to be in this game and certainly to be chosen as a captain. Well, we can only hope for a game like last year, Jim. The South wins at overtime, 21-20. Bahamas Sawyer Van Meter scores an OT. They get the extra point. They lead it 21-14. Dylan Hours got his third touchdown for the North. They go for two, and they were stopped. And that's how it ended, 21-20. The MVPs last year, Landon Fry, a receiver from North Marion, Matt Fry, a quarterback from the South. He had to be named Fry to be the MVP last year. Different spellings, but two great players. Who will be the MVPs this year? We'll be finding out here as the day moves on. South leading the series 44-22, 3 ties overall. The modern series started in 1976. The South leading that 28-20.
Mark, I'm glad to know that I'm considered part of the modern series rather than the old throwbacks.
You are indeed. See Dustin Koger there to the right. His coaching staff, Terry Ray, who is the head coach at Washington High School in the Eastern Panhandle and was at Berkeley Springs. Nick Maley, the head coach at Philip Barber, and Hunter McWhorter, an assistant at Lewis County High School. Sean Elkins had been a head coach at Sherman and Scott, an assistant at West Virginia State, played at Duval High School, an assistant for the South. Scott Ramsey, an assistant at Poca, a Clay County graduate, and Brian Collins, an assistant at Clay. They make up the South staff with head coach Jason Nichols.
Mark, looks like North won the toss and deferred to the second half. Of course, the South will take it, and they choose the end zone of their choice. So with this wind kind of howling around a little bit, that might make a little bit of a difference, especially with the South, and they like to put the ball in the air.
Yeah, they do. Noah Collins, record-setting quarterback, will start it out for the South out of Clay County. Fairmont senior Brody Whitehair will get the nod for the North Bears in this contest. Also a record-setting quarterback.
You got a couple of good signal callers there, Mark, and some really good veteran players that's had a lot of starting time for their teams, and it's just really nice for them to take the opportunity, you know, and get the opportunity to come down here. It's quite an honor to do that, and then give up your time in the summer to work really hard, like 2 a days, but you bond. You get together and you bond, and you have relationships, and guys that you don't see, you run into them 25, 30 years later, and you just kind of pick up and just relive those old memories.
Bob Bates is the referee, Pat Standard, the umpire, Henry Dill, the linesman, Jeff Hamrick, the line judge, John Mills, the field judge, Dave Smith, the side judge, and Doug Zickafus is the back judge. Braden Hott out of Ritchie County. He was the West Virginia MVP in the battle against cystic fibrosis West Virginia-Ohio All-Star game that was played a week ago Friday in St. Mary's. He had some booming punts in that game, so he will kick it off. And a dangerous tandem back deep for the South in Bahamas. Connor Lambert and Ronnie Staley from Wayne High School. Staley will gather it at the 9-yard line and has a nice opening. Ronnie Staley on the move. The Wayne Pioneer, and going to be tripped up. What a start for the South Cardinals. Ronnie Staley. See where they brought him down.
Looks like they're going to mark it around the 2-yard line, Mark.
No, Staley missed 3 games this past season for Tom Harmon's crew. And that was a big loss. And it's going to be first and goal here for the Cardinals. What a beginning to this 2025 Classic. Boy, you saw the big opening there, Jim, and Staley found the hole and darted down the near sideline.
Burst right through it. It was a natural seam, a little bit of a coverage mishap there on the north part, but Staley was able to explode down the sideline and nearly took it to the house. Of course, you're talking about adding some energy to this South Cardinal offense. They got it instantly.
All right, Noah Collins will take the snap. He'll hand it off and into the end zone for the touchdown. Well, that did not take long for the South Cardinals. Getting into the end zone is Savion Brown, one of 2 GW players in this game.
And we've called Savion Brown's name many times throughout the course of last season, and well, what a special player he is.
So Peyton Gardner of James Monroe will come on to attempt the point after. Caden Vance will be the holder. No, one play, 2 yards. Gardner got into kicking. He was a great soccer player. He's going to go to WVU and walk on in Morgantown. Vance puts it down. Gardner puts it up. And they missed the kick. A tough break for the Cardinals there, but they are on the board just like that.
Mark, he didn't get really a lot of pressure. I think he was just kind of maybe not ready for the snap, but he kind of pushed that. He's got plenty of leg, we know that. He just kind of pushed that one out to the right a little bit. Disappointed in himself. He'll be down there working on the sidelines trying to correct that.
They had the 89-yard return by Ronnie Staley to get it going. And just like that, South punching it in. Savion Brown, who had a great career there for Steve Edwards. He was very versatile, 6 foot, 165, going to go to University of Pikeville. And he'll go there with his GW teammate, Solomon Farrell.
And we'll see if the North Bears can answer to this kind of explosive start for the Cardinals. Mark, I don't recall an opening kickoff for a touchdown, but you, with your memory, would be able to probably retrieve that rather quickly.
Coverage of the 2025 WCHS TV Fox 11 North South All-Star Football Classic is being presented by Go-Mart. Go for good times. Go for Go-Mart. So Gardner will get a chance here to show off his powerful leg. You know, he's frustrated that he could not get that extra point to go through.
In games like this where you don't really have a lot of time for that offensive continuity, every single point's going to matter.
So a kick here that will sail into the end zone. Well, in the first playoff game of this 2024 season, you know, the playoffs were delayed a week, Jim, and all the teams had to wait. And of course the championships were then played a week later. The latest championships had ever been played in the state of West Virginia. And so that's the last time we've seen some of these kids in action. All right, so Brody Whitehair and the North Bears are ready to get it going here. He'll go with 5 receivers, an empty backfield, and Whitehair, the polar bear, and he finds his favorite receiver from Fairmont Senior. That's a 20-yard completion as he hits Cannon Dinger.
Yeah, Jeffrey Campbell on the pop there from Bluefield, 6'1", 180-pound. Of course, they're all seniors. Mark, we don't have to say what class they're in, but good seam there across the middle from Whitehair.
Yeah, they've all graduated and set to move on to the next level. Talk about returning a kickoff. In 1976, first year the North-South Classic returned. It was Bart Batten of St. Albans, one of the Batten twins. Raced for the only TD of the game. Nice tackle there by David Fennessy from the South as he takes down Tayshawn Roper.
Yeah, Mark, he came from the weak side on that and closed so quickly, did Fennessy. I mean, 5'11", 220 from Scott. I mean, he just closed on that one super quick, man. You're talking about some quickness and explosiveness.
Pickup of 3 for Roper, who is off to Lockhaven. Whitehair looking to throw again, lofting it out, and in the direction of Carson.
Could have been a little bit of a miscommunication on that, Mark. Maybe a kind of a hitch and go. It looked like the receiver kind of went toward the post and instead of toward the flag.
Yeah, trying to hit Kyrie Bunny out of Martinsburg. 6'3", 180. Played for Dave Walker. He was in that championship game back in December. They took on Spring Mills from the Eastern Panhandle. So Kyrie Bunny will line up to the near side. Whitehair ready to go here on 3rd and 7. Whitehair is an excellent runner, and he will get, I believe, the first down.
Yeah, it was one of those really close ones. Whitehair kind of nonchalant over there on the left side. Mark kind of gave himself up, but halfway through the slide, the defender was already committed.
Our first downs in quarters number 1 and 3 are sponsored by Bridge Valley. North with a pair of first downs here in this drive. Aiden Rice of Lincoln High School, bottom of your screen. 3 wide near side, 2 to the top of the screen. And now Roper comes into the backfield, and he'll get the call. Breaking it to the outside, and Tayshawn Roper got away from Bluefield's Jeffrey King and slipped through for a couple more.
Yeah, got through a couple of tackles, Mark, but wasn't able to break it to the outside.
Following this play, we'll check in with the 3rd member of our team, Miss Hannah Klein. Tayshawn Roper picking up 6 on the play. Now Whitehair goes down with it. And let's check in with Hannah.
Always good to hear from my favorite people as the WCHS TV Fox 11 North-South All-Star Football Classic is unfolding right here in South Charleston High School. More than 70 players from all across the state of West Virginia on display this week right here at South Charleston's Black Eagles Stadium. Teams actually started a week-long training camp at West Virginia State University. Teams also had the chance to take part in 2 practices a day while enjoying evening activities such as movies, and wrapping up the week ahead of today's gameplay is celebrated with the parade in South Charleston and that famous Hall of Fame banquet at Little Creek Country Club. Question today is who will be taking home the title of the North-South All-Star Football Classic, guys?
All right, we thank you so much, Hannon. Well, it was a catch by Cannon Dinger and then a takeaway by Talon Harrison of Herbert Hoover. And so the South inspired football at the moment, and they will have it at the 48-yard line.
And Mark, not too often you get to be able to convert on a tackle and then go ahead and just take the ball and just get possession of it. So,
and nice play by Harrison. Going to continue playing football at Fairmont State. Played for Joey Fields there at Herbert Hoover. Was in a state championship game against the Bridgeport Indians. Noah Collins ready to go to work here now. We'll get a chance to see him show off his arm, and Collins going to break away and will be driven out of bounds. Speaking of Bridgeport, defensive play there by Donovan Williams.
And Williams did a good job of staying home there, watching Collins kind of like almost ghosting him to make sure that he doesn't scramble out of that pocket. Really good job by the North secondary to cover. He didn't have enough time. Good pressure up front there, also by the North Polar Bears. Well, they're not the Polar Bears, they're just the Bears.
Collins, Jim, almost 10,000 yards for his career. All-time leader in so many categories. Just told me on Sunday, I eat, sleep, and drink football. Airs it out and trying to find in stride there another George Washington athlete in Solomon Farrell.
He had him there. He had about a step or two on the defender, but Collins needed just to put a little bit more air on that one.
Farrell played for Steve Edwards Jr. at George Washington, one of your South teammates there in 1979. All-time winningest coach in Kanawha County and former head coach of the South Bears as well, and his father Steve. Also a player and coach in this game, the great late Steve Edwards Sr. Here's Collins. He'll shoot it and trying to get it into the hands of Carson Brininger, the Scott Skyhawk, former 100-meter champion in Class AA, but goes through his hands, and so that will bring up Gardenier to kick it away for the red-clad South Cardinals.
Yeah, Collins just kind of let that when he had a receiver out there. Not enough initially if Brininger would have caught it for the first down, but just a little bit sailed over his grasp.
Conneray, the long snapper, and back and calling for the fair catch for the North Bears out of Bridgeport High School. Alex Moses, great player for Bridgeport. 1 of 2 in this game for the AAA state champs of West Virginia. Break in the action here, and it's a lead for the South. 6-0 here on our North-South Classic edition of the Go Mart Friday Night Rivals Game of the Week. Back in a moment. Back here in South Charleston, the North Bears ready to go to work here. First time ever, Jim, that each team wearing blue pants for the North, red pants for the South. It's always been white pants in this game dating back to '76. A new look and a new quarterback. And a bad snap. And having to go back and fall on it is Michael Thompson out of Washington High School in the Eastern Panhandle. He's 6'6", 175. His head coach, Terry Ray, and assistant. Thompson will continue playing at West Virginia Wesleyan, so they started white here. Now Thompson. They also have Cam Foley on the roster, an outstanding quarterback for Grafton.
Kind of an ominous start there for Thompson. Of course, that was, like you said, was a poor snap, so kind of difficult for him to do anything with that one, Mark.
Thompson has A.J. Thomas in the backfield, the young man out of Morgantown, a 1,000-yard rusher. A good snap this time, and Thompson in the end zone, and he's going to throw it, and nearly picked off by Fennessy. And great pressure being applied there for that Cardinal defense, Tristan Watts out of Spring Valley High School, number 13.
Defended by Scott's number 10, David Fennessy.
So the pressure applied by Watts. Fennessy almost had himself an interception, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, he had a good chance for it. He got a hand on it, wasn't able to corral it in, but kind of difficult, Mark. You think about it, these teams aren't really allowed to blitz. So it's just straight up four-man pressure up front against 5 blockers. So you're just going to have to use your quickness and size and strength to keep those guys off of the quarterback.
3rd down and 24 for the North Bears. Fake the handoff. Thompson will keep, and he'll get a bit to the 11, and that's going to be about it. And Fennessy, boy, he's been called a lot here early on. One of 4 Scott football players in this game. Those young men played for Jeremy Dolan there in Madison, which just has a wonderful, wonderful Friday night atmosphere. We've been there. We've had the hot fudge cake, Jim.
Oh, you can't miss that. That's for sure. Yeah, Fennessy's just, he's all over the place, Mark. He's a good-looking young football player there, 220 pounds. I think the North was just looking for some space to give himself some breathing room to kick this one away.
All right, Braden Hott, we get a chance to see him kick again. He had that outstanding all-star game there in St. Mary's. Now they'll down it at around the 45-yard line. That was Noah Hess from North Marion downing the football. Breaking the action here. South with the ball when we return. Black Eagle Stadium here in South Charleston. South Cardinals ready to go back to work here, leading at 6-0. 5:58 to go here in our opening quarter here in the 2025 North South All-Star Football Classic. Getting into the hands of Savion Brown, and they're going to have some pushing and shoving flags come out here.
It appears to be a horse collar tackle, Mark. We're not exactly sure. They're going to confer this, but you saw in the mix that just a little bit of extracurricular activity there after the tackle. They're talking it over.
And Bob Bates is our referee out of Fayetteville. Pat Standard, the umpire for Beckley. Henry Neal. Glenn Ferris is the linesman. The line judge is Jeff Hamrick of Webster Springs. John Mills from Montgomery, the field judge. Dave Smith of Mount Hope, the side judge. And Doug Zickafoos is the back judge. Zickafoos hails from Hurricane. Bates, Neal, Hamrick, and Mills were a part of the AAA game. Here's Bob Bates. You get the call there. Bates, Neal, Zickafoos have been in numerous championship games. And Bates, Zickafoose and Neal have all worked previous North-South football classics. Smith is the youngest of the crew. He's worked playoffs. There's a loss of one, but they get the penalty. And Caden Vance, who played in the North-South Basketball Classic last night, he's in at quarterback, outstanding player from West Side High School, looking to set up and throw, and then he's going to be sandwiched. Ace Flores in there on the play. Outstanding player from Martinsburg, and Isaiah Osafo Mensah from Washington there as well. Ace Flores, well, what more can you say? He won the Huff Award and the Halley Award, named after the greats Sam Huff and Chuck Halley, both in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, both West Virginia natives.
And he put that talent on display right there.
Get it into the hands of Brinegar. That's considered a pass, and Carson Brinegar will be taken out of bounds over on the north sideline. Brinegar has speed to burn. I think he just comes in motion. They flip it to him. It's considered a pass.
Yeah.
Get it into that young man's hands. Again, a lot of weapons on both sides of the football. The North is represented by 23 schools. The South, 21 schools. So Brinegar picks up 4 on the play.
And Mark, going back to that sack, South only sent out 3 guys, nobody on a safety valve. They were able to get double coverage on both of the deep wide out routes. So Vance had nowhere to go, had to eat the ball.
Caden Vance sets up, launches, looking, and good coverage there. Trying to get it into the hands of Braden Clark, another Scott Skyhawk.
Yeah, great coverage there by Demarius Wallace, the 5'10", 170-pound defensive back from Jefferson.
Had the Cougars battling there with the Skyhawks.
We had a sack, Mark, I believe, the sack on the first play, and then the toss pass, and then the incomplete. So it should be 4th down.
Yep, and they're switching it over there.
Yeah, they're getting
Get it all straight. Robert Stegall is our statistician. He was whispering it into our ears. And Robert is next to being the official, but Bob Bates is the guy we truly have to listen to.
He's one with the stripes on.
Connor Lambert in motion. Vance fires, and a great catch is made. Was Clark in bounds.
Wow.
Watson was over there on coverage.
Yeah, I believe they got Clark out of bounds, perhaps. Yeah, change of possession.
Yep. Turn it over to the North Bears. Braden Clark, what a terrific career that young man had. He's going to continue playing at the University of Charleston for the Golden Eagles.
Great effort there by Clark, Mark. He almost got that foot in bounds. Of course, you don't have to have 2 of them in high school.
At West Virginia Federal Credit Union, they earn your business by creating value to every member every day. West Virginia Federal Credit Union not only places service as its first priority, they have loan and deposit rates that are among the best around. West Virginia Federal Credit Union, together we all win. North now trying to get a winning drive going here in this opening quarter of play. And we see our 3rd Bear quarterback, Cam Foley out of Grafton, the Bearcat. And he just throws it away. Played for his father, Mickey Foley, at Grafton. Grafton's had some quarterbacks in this game down through the years.
Well, again, Mark, I don't think it was a real stellar snap. Probably something they really need to work on here. They've had a couple of bad snaps that's cost them field position down here. So now they're going to have to be conservative a little bit in the play calling to try to get some momentum. They got a couple of first downs, and they kind of stalled off of that turnover with the fumble earlier in the first quarter.
Well, again, this first quarter, this is truly the first live action these guys have seen in a while. Hand it off. A.J. Thomas finds a opening, and Thomas will slip through there. Nice little gain. Ty Mitchell Another member of that Scott Skyhawk team comes up and makes the tackle. It's a 7-yard pickup there for Aaron Thomas. He goes by AJ, going to play at Frostburg. Over 1,000 yards rushing this season. He stays in the backfield there with Foley.
Yeah, good shiftiness. It gives them, because of that game, Mark, it gives them multiple opportunities. They could throw short out. They could run the ball if they wanted to, so they have the entire playbook at their disposal for this third down call.
He's got both Thomas and Roper in the backfield. Roper will get the call. Roper going to bounce it to the near side. Tayshawn Roper, the Jefferson Cougar. And they run out of bounds at the 45-yard line. Make that the 40-yard line. And Tayshawn Roper. And that is a Bridge Valley first down for the North Bears. Our sponsors of the first down here in our first and third quarters. Bridge Valley.
Yeah, Mark, that's their second opportunity here in South's territory. Last time they came away with a turnover. So we'll have to see if they can kind of take care of the ball, take care of this possession, try to put some points on the board.
25-yard pickup for Roper. Thomas in the backfield there with Foley. Foley sets up, fires, and Staley there on the coverage. Foley trying to hit Kyrie Bunny. Now Staley, who started this game with fireworks as that guy from Wayne, he trucked down the near sideline, and that led to the touchdown in this first quarter of action.
Mark, Bunny did a good job of kind of playing defender there because Staley had beads on that, had a lot of air under that ball, and Bunny did a good job of kind of blocking him off to keep him from getting that interception.
Hunter Means from Wheeling Park. He is the center. Snaps it to Foley. Guns it in the direction of Bunny, and Bunny makes the grab. Staley makes the tackle.
Pass caught by Martinsburg's number 0, Kyrie Bunny.
We should probably be having a lot of conversations. We're going to be meeting each other an awful lot here this afternoon, so let's get used to it.
Third down and 4 as he picks up 6 on the play. Talked to Kyrie on Sunday when the players arrived. He just said it was a true privilege to play at Martinsburg High School, a program that now with 11 state championships.
Yeah, storied past and promising future again for Martinsburg. The Bulldogs, they just churn them out, Mark, year in, year out. It's pretty amazing.
Dave Walker, former head coach in this game, former player in this game.
Mark, I kind of see this as a 2-down territory. I mean, if they don't get it on third down, they're at the 35. They really don't gain a whole lot by pinning South that deep. Looks like they're going to a little bit of a confusion on formation. They'll need to use one of their timeouts.
Well, you got Julian Pattison lining up on this side as a tight end. Pattison was the MVP of the Class AA state championship game won by the Frankfort Falcons over the Roane County Raiders there in the capital city, University of Charleston Stadium at Laley Field. Well, there are the North Bears gathered. Think about some of the pros in this game, Jim, since it started back up in 1976. The late Walter Easley, the late Robert Alexander, who starred for South Charleston High School. He played his high school games, though, at Old Oaks Field.
That's right. We didn't have the opportunity to play them, but we did scrimmage them that year when I was a sophomore, Mark, and he was a senior, talking about an outstanding running back with multiple athletic talents. He certainly was that.
Fulton Walker saw Staley almost run a kickoff back for a touchdown. Fulton Walker from Martinsburg, the first NFL player to run a kickoff back for a touchdown in a Super Bowl back in the day. Of course, James Jett, Rich Braham from University, James Jett from Jefferson, Olympic gold medalist. Thomas in motion. Foley gets the snap. Roper gets the call, and Roper splitting a couple of defenders. Good tackles made there on the far side. Robert Cook of Chapmanville, one of those making the play. Cook going to go to the U.S. Air Force, 6'1", 185. He's going to bring up fourth down.
Yeah, I'd say they're certainly going to be going for it here, Mark. Just short yardage to get. So, try to do something where you don't really need to just exchange the ball. And some power behind those big. You got a lot of beef up there for that North offense. Front five in that tackle box, 255, 290, 290, 275, 3 1/4. Big John McGee, 6'6", out of Philip Barber there. So, might be running right behind him, Mark.
2 backs. Roper gets the call, and Roper looks like he has been able to accomplish the first down yardage. And our first downs here in quarter number 1, sponsored by Bridge Valley. So Roper. Mentioned a moment ago, Roper going to go to Lock Haven.
And they really needed the momentum to keep that ball, Mark, and that was a really good play there. A little bit gutsy, but still pretty safe call there. Off tackle right side, just power as you go.
Now trailing 6-0. Addison in the backfield. Foley has time and fires it out, and a great leaping grab made by Fairmont Seniors Cannon Dinger over there on the far side, and it was once more Robert Cook in on the tackle for the South Cardinals.
Hey, you got almost one-on-one coverage there, Mark. You sent out 4 receivers from the north. They got 4 guys covering in the secondary, so it's one-on-one. Good pattern there. Ran in a great catch.
Dinger is one of several players in this game that's going to go play at Morehead State in Eastern Kentucky. School that produced a Super Bowl quarterback in Phil Simms.
Yeah.
All right, Patterson's still in the backfield. Young man from Frankfort. Foley gets the call, and he'll keep it. Now running into some traffic there and going to be driven back there. Good defense applied by the South Cardinals, and Mikey Spack out of Oak Hill with the tackle.
Patterson, Mark, I think was a little bit indecisive whether he wanted to bounce that outside or cut it back inside. Kind of that time, that hesitation cost him a little bit.
All right, we have played a quarter here. It's a lead of 6 for the red-clad South Cardinals over the North Bears. We return here to South Charleston in a moment. We're watching coverage of the 2025 WCHS TV Fox 11 North-South All-Star Football Classic, being presented by GoMart. Welcome back to this North-South edition of our Go Mart Friday Night Rivals Game of the Week, presented by Eyewitness Sports. Away we go to the second quarter, and the North Bears with the football on the move here, and change it up a little bit, and a direct snap to Ace Flores. Martinsburg Bulldog into the game.
Another great read there on the edge from David Fennessy from Scott. Mark, he's just kind of been all over the field so far. Really done a really good job. Good looking young man.
At the moment, going to go to Marshall University, focus on academics, but certainly a great career with the Skyhawks this past season. 71 tackles, 15 of those for a loss. Had an interception. So it is fourth down here and short for the Bears. Bears 1 for 1, fourth down situations, and they'll go to Flores, and Flores will grind his way for the first down yardage. Our first downs here in quarter number 2 and quarter number 4 are sponsored by the Clay Center. So the Bears still in business, Jim.
Yeah, Ace had to do kind of pretty much that all on his own, Mark. I mean, they had that jumbo package in there you see on the lineup, but he kind of bounced that and had to get that yard the hard way. He had to earn it.
Ace is the place for the first down.
Yes, there you go.
All right, so a fresh set of downs for the North. They now have 5 in the game. Foley back at quarterback here. The Grafton Bearcat gives it to A.J. Thomas, and Fennessy is right there. Well, Fennessy's got that big motor, doesn't he?
Yeah, you know, Mark, the thing about Fennessy is, I mean, he's 220. He's very, very well built, very muscular. He's spent a lot of time in the weight room, but A.J. Thomas is not easy to bring down. And if you can do that one-on-one, that shows you what kind of strength and overall athletic ability that Fennessy has.
Brody Whitehair has checked back in. So Dustin Coger and his crew continuing to shuttle those quarterbacks in here. We've seen them all. We've seen Flores line up there in the Wildcat. Whitehair fumbles the football, and right into the hands of the South Cardinals it goes. And the South will take over here. North had a nice drive going, but Mikey Spack of Oak Hill makes the recovery.
A little bit of separation going on off of that turnover, mostly out of frustration, Mark. They moved the ball pretty well the first possession, had that fumble, then right here off of this exchange they had another fumble. So they both times been in South territory, have come away with 0 points.
Spack played for Devon Marion at Oak Hill High School. Fourth fumble of the day for the North, second which has been lost. We have offsetting penalties here. Hunter Facemeyer for the South and Jet McCullough for the North. South with the football.
Well, it'll be a good opportunity here for the North defense to really just kind of back up, just pin their ears here and just go after them. You know that they're probably going to throw the ball here.
Caden Vance still in at quarterback. He will continue his career at Concord University and hands it off, and Savion Brown gets the call there for the Cardinals. Maddox Gillespie, Lewis County, playing in this game with his head coach Dustin Coger. Gets Brown to the ground.
Gillespie was there in just a minute. Oh, he's a minute man, right? So he was just there in just a minute to get that tackle off of Savion Brown from GW.
First team defensive lineman, undecided as to where he will head off to college.
You know, if North can really just stack them up and get a 3 out here, that'll really help their mental framework right now.
Get it to Connor Lambert, the speedster from Wahama, and Lambert turns on the Jets. He's a 100-meter, 200-meter champion at the state track and field meet. Story in the Charleston Gazette Mail this week about Lambert, and the headline said, Lamborghini.
Well, very well labeled. You saw him go around that right side, Mark. He just like a little old spark plug, just flying around that right side, and plus putting his head down, trying to get a little bit extra yardage to make it manageable on 3rd down.
45 touchdowns. Just an incredible career, and certainly senior season for the White Falcons of James Toth as they won that single A championship. And now they'll gun it out to the near side, and Braden Clark makes the snag there. The Scott Skyhawk. Wallace from Jefferson makes the tackle.
They have already made the signal, Mark. I was looking at it, depending on where the spot was when the receiver went out, but they have already signaled 1st down for the South Cardinals.
And again, our first downs here in quarter number 2 and in quarter number 4 being sponsored by the Clay Center. South's first 3rd down conversion of the day. It was a pickup of 3. Caden Vance back to work here now for the Cardinals. Lambert in motion. Brown gets the call, and not much there. Jet McCullough, one of those standouts from Frankfort High School. McCullough gets the tackle. McCullough is going to Frostburg. It's going to be a loss of 2. Brings up 2nd down and 12. It's been an incredible school year for Frankfort High School in athletics. That AA football championship, played for the AAA baseball championship. Their girls softball team played for the AAA state championship right here in South Charleston. Vance takes the snap, fires it out, and Brinegar makes the grab, and Brinegar to the 40-yard line, and that's another South Cardinal 1st down, sponsored by the Clay Center. Now, Brinegar had a lot of injuries in his career, Jimmy. Won the 100-meter dash championship in AA as a sophomore, but then the injuries took over. Wasn't able to repeat as the South gets its 3rd 1st down. But how about the fact they have 2 100-meter champs out there in Lambert and Brinegar?
Yeah, Brinegar found a nice seam, and then Vance was able to just find him there. Oh, great pressure.
Well, this time they find Vance. Big time play there once again by Gillespie.
Gillespie just manhandled through, kind of a bull rush there from the right side. Just used his physical strength on him and just was able to get to Vance and get the sack. That's a big time loss for the South Cardinals.
So loss of 9, 2nd and 19. Go with Hannah Klein here in a minute, as she has one of our Hall of Fame inductees. A good look there at Richie Halstead. Vance gets it into the hands of Brown. Well, they slowed Brown down, and then finally putting the finishing touches on for the North Bears was Clay Walker, the Roan Raider. Let's send it down to Hannah Klein. Take it away, Hannah.
One of the South members back in 1977. We got to talk about that.
Okay. Yeah, I was a Sherman player, 2nd one to ever play in North-South. It was a good experience. I was fortunate enough to get me a fumble for a touchdown.
We got to talk about that play, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, before the game started, I kept saying, how am I going to get me a touchdown? And here in the game, that ball bounced loose in the backfield, and I said, there it is. And I grabbed that baby and took off, and had Jody McCown coming down the side of me, and the offensive player getting ready to tackle me. I put the brakes on, cut behind Jody, and went in for the touchdown. I guess it's been a pretty big deal ever since.
Definitely. And how's it feel, coming back, being in the Hall of Fame, being able to see these players now and carry on that legacy?
Oh, I'm tickled to death that the Sherman player is here behind me playing in the game. That's a big deal to me and his family in the crowd. I know they're tickled to death. But it's so special for every one of these kids that's playing. Every kid that's little grade school people that know them will idolize them the rest of their life. And if they coach, I coached ever since I come out of college, and I got kids that I can't even remember their names now coming up to me, how you doing, Coach? So, it's a good experience, but it all started here. Got a lot of respect. I played with some heck of coaches, Coach Mollett. Got to play my senior year as him a coach. And then I got to coach with him later on. Mickey Brown, David Hanlon. I loved that guy. He was hard-nosed. He taught us the kiss drill where we went nose to nose. Yeah, you got to kiss them, see if their eyes closed. It was a good deal, and had some good people behind me, and that's the way it is.
And you got your whole family here.
Yeah, I got my grandbabies up here, my daughters, and my wife down here. Talking to another Hall of Famer that he's a doctor, getting ready to take my grandson to him. But yeah, it's great. Look at the people here; they're enjoying every second. Big deal. Coach Mollett put on a beautiful program.
All right. I appreciate you always, guys. I'll go ahead and send it back.
All right. Thank you very much, Hannah. And our congrats to Richie Halstead. We'll talk more about these Hall of Famers in a moment. We break away here from South Charleston. But we are back inside here at Black Eagle Stadium on the campus of South Charleston High School. One of the big North-South fans, Mama Howard of West Virginia State University. Cardinals with the football. Caden Vance, 3rd and 26, and Vance will heave. And a great catch made on the sideline.
Vance's pass is incomplete. It's 4th down.
North assistant Hunter McWhorter with the catch there. Well, we heard from Richie Halstead. I remember that play vividly, and Jody McCown making that big block. And, of course, Jody, member of the North-South Football Classic Hall of Fame, and Richie Halstead, one of 10 players to return a fumble for a touchdown in the history of the North-South Classic. The longest, the late Kane Roush from Wahama, 75 yards. He was the MVP for the South that year. Went on to have a great career at the University of Charleston. Gardner with the punt. Skies it. Hauling it in and quickly taken down. Ethan Kay with the tackle there of Alex Moses. The Bridgeport Indian gathered it in, and the Ripley Viking with the tackle. Big stop for Ethan Kay.
Pretty good pedigree from him, Mark. He's got an uncle that was an MVP player here in Chip Donahoe.
Yeah, Chip Donahoe of Ravenswood, 1997. He earned his keep as a punter for the North Bears. Ravenswood's had 2 MVPs on the north side, and they were back-to-back years, 96 and 97. Ryan Ward, the 96 recipient. Brody Whitehair in a quarterback, and he floats and going in the direction of Bunny, and it falls incomplete. Brings up second down.
Yeah, he puts a lot of, quarterbacks have their, you say a favorite receiver. Kyrie Bunny obviously is his favorite receiver, but kind of floated that one behind him a little bit, wasn't able to come back to it.
I asked Brody Whitehair, well, what are some of your favorite places to eat in Fairmont? There's so many. And before he could blink, he rattled off about 6 or 7.
I hope you got it on tape. That way we can frequent those places.
Well, I have frequented some of them. All right, Roper in motion, and Whitehair will keep. And then Whitehair will be driven back as Spack from Oak Hill makes another nice play.
Yeah, really like a textbook type tackle there from Spack, the Red Devil, coming up strong from his deep secondary.
You got to look out for those Red Devils. Ravenswood, Oak Hill.
Got to plug them where you can, Of course, I was going to say Viking with Ethan Kay, but
yeah,
I left that one to you.
Yeah, Kay's out there at the moment. First team All-Stater under Ryan Simon, and what was his first season as the head coach for the Vikings. Ripley making the playoffs this past season, falling to North Marion in the opening round of AAA. We'll switch out footballs here. Well, it started with an outstanding kickoff return by Wayne's Ronnie Staley, and Savion Brown took it in on the first play. 3rd and 6. North 2 out of 6 on 3rd down conversions.
Mark, I suspect if they're close, they'll probably go for it if they don't get it.
A beautiful grab made there by Roper. He will be taken out of bounds there by Brandon Potiker out of Greenbrier West. Played for the great Kelly Vaughn, maybe the greatest athlete ever for Greenbrier West High School. Played in this game. It was an overtime game, and Kelly nose guard and quarterback. And the South pulled out the win 14-12. Jim Thornburg, the coach that year. 4th down and 2. The North 2 for 2. 4th down situations. Ball resting at the South 48. A.J. Thomas in the backfield. Gunning. Bunny makes the grab. 1st down for the Bears. Yeah, Bunny drew a crowd, but he made the catch. Talon Harrison makes the tackle, and that is a 1st down. And our 1st downs here in the 2nd quarter being sponsored by the Clay Centers. A gain of 9 on the play, 6th 1st down of the contest for the Bears.
Mark, you see kind of a microcosm of how football, even at the high school levels, developed on a 4th and short. They're going for just a quick, short pop pass. Most of the time, teams will line up and just try to power it over you with a run.
Brody Whitehair. As Thomas joining him in the backfield, and Thomas will get the call, and the Mohegan churning out some nice yardage there.
Yeah, what was nice about that gain, Mark, from Thomas was that now they just got all kinds of options in their playbook. They got 2nd down. They could go deep in the end zone. They could try to throw one down there and try to get a tie score here as we're closing in with just a minute and a half left in the half. So time is kind of really not on their side right now.
Seth Olinger in the game out of Wahama for the South defensively. Brother Trey played in the game a couple of years ago. Now here's Roper going back to work. Roper got away momentarily, but then going to finally be taken down there by Jeffrey King of Bluefield.
And he did. He kind of went forward. He went past the sticks, and then he went back. So able to get the first down for the North Bears with just a little over a minute on a running clock, Mark.
Roper 6 carries for 40 yards, picks up the first down there. First down's sponsored by the Clay Center here in the second quarter. See Bob Bates there, one of the great officials working this game today. And again, we talk about it all the time when we get on the subject of the officials and how desperately they are needed in all sports in this state and all states. And what an honor it is to play in the game, what an honor it is to coach in the game, and certainly what an honor it is for these gentlemen to be able to serve as the officiating crew here in this 2025 WCHS TV Fox 11 North-South All-Star Football Classic. And it's our North-South edition of our Go Mart Friday Night Rivals Game of the Week presented by Eyewitness Sports.
Well, we got spoiled, Mark, right out of the gate off the kickoff with that explosive play by Staley. And then we've kind of seen both teams kind of punch it a little bit, get inside the other team's territory, but not able to capitalize on a couple of costly turnovers for North Bears so far. So maybe they can try to capitalize here. I believe they have a timeout left in this half, and they'll probably need it because they need at least a couple more first downs before they can get in the end zone. And time's really not on their side. They did put back a few seconds on the clock. They stopped it at 59.4. They've added it back to 104. So there's 104 left in the half.
All right, so Whitehair awaiting the snap here. Goes to Thomas, and Thomas draws a big-time crowd. And Connor Facemeyer, Herbert Hoover in there on the stop. And you also had in on the play Ty Mitchell of Scott. So it's a loss of 1, 2nd and 11. Facemeyer, a state heavyweight wrestling champion for Richard Harper there at Herbert Hoover. Whitehair ready to go to work. Going to work quickly, and Whitehair maneuvering. And he'll take off with it and will be knocked out of bounds by Ethan Kay.
Yeah, Kay did a good job of keeping him from getting the ball up that sideline, getting any more yardage than he needed. Much needed to get out of bounds to preserve a timeout for the North.
Ethan Kay wrestled for a state championship this past season for the Vikings. Head coach Matt Smith, he was the athlete of the year at Ripley after the all-state football season and the state runner-up finish. A couple of outstanding wrestlers out there.
And Mark, they can use the full field here since they have a timeout. If they get the first down, they give them an opportunity to stop the clock.
Whitehair looks, guns, and the catch will be made by Kyrie Bunny. And Bunny gathers it in. That will move the chain. So another first down, sponsored by the Clay Center here in the second quarter for the South. Windy but sunshiny day here in South Charleston at Black Eagles Stadium.
It looks like North has another timeout after this one, Mark. So they'll still have opportunities here to get a crack in the end zone to tie this game up and potentially take a lead with the extra PAT.
So the game rules: offense, no unbalanced line, 2 wide receivers are required, no restriction on passing. The kickoffs from the 35, no blocking below the waist. The defensive rules include a base 5-2 or 4-4, no blitzing, any goal line defense allowed inside the 10. We had the overtime game a year ago. Talked about that Kelly Vaughn overtime game. That was the 3rd overtime game now in this modern era. That was a dandy.
Mark, I misspoke earlier. I believe that's the 3rd and final timeout for the North Bears. So if they're going to do something, they really want to take an opportunity to do it in the field. They're going to have to work on the sidelines or take a shot in the end zone with just 24 seconds left in the second quarter.
The North has won 7 of the last 9 showdowns Dustin Koger telling me last night, said just felt like through the week, just in a short number of days, we built a really good culture. He was really impressed with how his kids got along, and they're great IQs for the game of football. All right, Whitehair takes the snap, looks, and in the direction of Dinger. And did Dinger make the catch? Looks like he did, inside the 10.
Yeah, which could kind of be detrimental, Mark. They're going to either have to spike it or get up there and spike it. No, he's just going to go for it.
So Whitehair throws and into the end zone, incomplete with 3 seconds showing on the clock. And I think we're going to have a penalty against the South, and it might be a late hit that's going to be charged to Ty Mitchell. He was in the area.
Now, Mark, I think it may have been after the hit, perhaps, because the flag wasn't thrown off of the initial tackle from being late. I think the flag was thrown because of maybe perhaps something that might have been said on the field as the defender was walking away.
Well, there are 3 seconds showing on the clock. Can the North punch it in? Well, it looks like they have brought Hott in. The holder is going to be Michael Thompson, and Donovan Williams is the long snapper, so they'll try to put points on the board here. So
I'm not completely opposed to that, Mark, considering they don't have any at all, and this is basically an extra point.
Again, Braden Hott, the MVP of the West Virginia team in that BACF West Virginia Ohio All-Star Football Classic in St. Mary's, primarily Mid-Ohio Valley players, a few from outside of the Mid-Ohio Valley, but Hott put on a nice performance. The West Virginia team did not score in the game, but he was certainly a bright spot with his kicking, and he will try to put points on the board here. Two good kickers here in this North-South game, certainly Gardner for the South and Hott for the North.
Pretty good pedigree there from Ritchie County. The Hotts are known for their athleticism. They
It's
really
a big-time name there.
Yeah.
Ritchie County High School, formed through the consolidation of Old Pennsboro and Harrisville high schools. Pennsboro, home of the Cardinals, and Harrisville, home of the Gators. Good snap, good hold, and it's blocked. Potiker blocked it. King picks it up. Jeffrey King. "84 yards. Brandon Potiker made the block, and King did the rest. And that puts the Cardinals out in front 12-0, and we still have an extra point to go.
All I got to say about that, Mark, is wow. We start the game with an explosive near kickoff return. We end the half in a blocked field goal, scoop and score from Jeffrey King.
Gardner missed his first extra point attempt, so he'd like to make up for that. Vance will be the holder. Hannah Klein will be speaking with the coaches. Connor Ray snaps it back. Vance places it down, and Gardner boots it through. And that is where we are here at halftime, a 13-0 lead for the red-clad South Cardinals over the blue-clad North Bears.
Well, certainly didn't expect that, Mark. I was kind of applauding Coach Koger for going for the field goal. I thought it was a pretty good decision, but I didn't see. Did you see I didn't think the snap was that bad. Maybe a little bit to his right, but he wasn't able to gather it in. And well, they came through that line like it was a sieve.
North-South band getting set to go here, and Hannah Klein getting set to talk with South head coach Jason Nichols. Take it away, Hannah.
Well, I told him that I really had to talk about that 85-yard return. Talk a little bit about that. That was really impressive.
Yeah, Brandon Potticher came in from Greenbrier West, got the block. Been telling Jeff King all week long I expected a big play out of him. He scooped and scored. Ronnie Staley, opening kickoff. Special teams been the difference in this game. A all-star game where it's hard sometimes to get the offenses and defenses going, a short camp. So special teams been the difference so far, absolutely.
And I think, too, although it is a short camp, what I've been noticing on the sidelines is how much fun these players are really having together. This might be the first time or even the last time that they see these players.
Yeah, the players are a blast. We just been loving on them. They've been loving on us. And, we're just having a good time right now. We're fortunate enough to have the lead, and we'll see how it goes at the end.
Coach, I appreciate you. Thank you. Good luck. Thank you. All right, guys, send it back to you.
All right, Hannah, we thank you. And Hannah is going to have Dustin Koger, the North head coach, joining her now. And Hannah, we'll let you talk with the head coach of the North Bears.
Bringing over the North coach right now, trying to get some points on that scoreboard. How are you guys feeling so far?
Not very good. Not very good. We got to get them back to having fun. We got to execute. Can't turn the ball over in an all-star game.
And I know at the banquet you talked to Mark Martin a little bit about the relationship that these players are having, and you have such a small time frame to really build this program and build this game. Has that been difficult, or has it been really simple and these teammates are really working together?
They've been great all week. It's a long week for everybody. We got 2 halves of football, or we got 1 half of football left to play, 2 quarters, and they got to get after it a little bit here in the second half.
All right, Coach, I appreciate you. Good luck. Guys, we'll go ahead and sit it back.
Thank you so much, Hannah. 2 great guys that just so easy to work with this week and so very helpful in Dustin Koger of the North and Jason Nichols for the South. It's the South on top at the moment. Our Hall of Famers being introduced down below on the field. Bob Mullet, game director. It's Alex Inklin, Richie Halstead, Frank Mullins, Eddie Suk, and Steve Thaxton, Dr. Steve Thaxton. We'll come back here to South Charleston, 13-0 lead for the South over the North. And we will return in a moment. You're watching live coverage of the North-South edition of our GoMart Friday Night Rivals Game of the Week, presented by Eyewitness Sports.
Well, a finishing touch to the annual Friday Night Rivals game of the week series each and every year. We celebrate one of our team's many outstanding scholar athletes with a prestigious award. Well, this year, South Charleston's very own Gracie Wilson was honored as Scholar Athlete of the Year. Wilson owns a 4.75 GPA. In athletics, she competed in soccer, swimming, along with track and field. Among her many activities and volunteer work, she was also a part of the Special Olympics. Wilson discussed what this award means dealing with setbacks, her soon-to-be major, and just how special South Charleston High School truly is. Take a listen.
To be blessed with this award. I've worked really hard within my high school career, and for it to be recognized is something that's really special to me. So I experienced 2 injuries within my high school career. It taught me resilience. It taught me to always keep pushing and always keep going in what we're doing. There's always a comeback that you can make, and it's always stronger than whenever you were before. I've always been wanting to go into the medical field. I didn't really understand which path I wanted to take until recently. Nursing's a way you can help people, and that's what I want to do in the community, and I want to better the community through the medical field. South Charleston High School has been the greatest thing so far in my life. It's taught me life lessons that I'll carry throughout my life for a very long time, and all the people in the community within it have been so special to me.
An awesome time right there. Wilson is headed off to West Virginia University to pursue a career in nursing. In addition to a beautiful plaque, Wilson will also be receiving a $5,000 scholarship to go towards her education.
South Bend.
All right, we'll be right back after the break with more.
Welcome back to the North-South FNR All-Star Edition Halftime Report, sponsored by the Huntington Mall.
All right, well, welcome back. Now, one of the very special things that some people might not see is we are able to watch 2 special girls, one from the north, one from the South, to be crowned right here at the game. And I'm going to first talk to Allie. Allie was the North Queen. Then we have Savannah, who is the South Queen. Now, Allie, I was watching your expression when they called your name. You were so surprised. How is this?
Yes, I was so shocked, honestly. Today's been such an amazing day with such amazing girls, and being crowned was just completely unexpected but awesome.
I mean, tell people if they're not familiar, what school did you come from?
I am from Ravenswood High School.
Ravenswood High School. I remember you guys had the rave review. Tell people what that's all about.
Yes, so I was actually the president my senior year at Rave Review. We are a competitive show choir group, and we get to compete not only just in West Virginia, but other states too.
And what's next for you?
I'm actually going to Fairmont State University, where I plan on being a cheerleader.
Awesome. Congratulations. I appreciate you. I'm going to jump over to the South. Savannah, how was it when they called your name?
I was really shocked. I wasn't expecting to get called at all. I'm really excited.
I saw your reaction. I was watching both of you behind, and you guys jumped up going, what?
Yes, I was looking around. I was like, I don't know. I just have no words. I'm just so excited that I got recognized.
And what people probably haven't seen is a lot of your family members are running up here taking all these pictures of you. How awesome is that?
Yes, I love my family. They're always supporting me in everything I do. I just really appreciate them a lot.
And what's next for you?
I plan to be a cheerleader at Marshall.
Marshall University. All right, girlie. I appreciate you. Guys, I'll go ahead and sit it back. And we'll be right back with more football after the break.
Thanks for watching the North-South FNR All-Star Edition Halftime Report, sponsored by the Huntington Mall.
And we welcome you back here to South Charleston High School Black Eagles Stadium as we continue our coverage of this North-South edition of our Go Mart Friday Night Rivals Game of the Week, presented by Eyewitness Sports, along with sideline reporter Hannah Klein, analyst Jim Mahan, our great crew, Mark Martin. Delighted to have all of you with us. A 13-0 South lead at the moment over the North Bears. Some big special teams plays that have been turned in by the Cardinals, and the Bears have coughed it up a couple of times. See what they can work out and try to get on the board in this second half of action. Looking at first half stats, North with 9 first downs to 3 for the South. The North rushing the football 20 times for 59 yards. The South 8 times for negative 19. Passing, the North 8 of 13 for 66 yards. The South 4 of 9 for 28. Again, the North 4 fumbles. They lost 2 of those. Have been penalized once for 15 yards. The South once for 4 yards. Each team has punted one time, a 32-yarder for the North, off the foot of Braden Hott, and for the South, a 31-yarder, and that coming off the foot of Peyton Gardenier. Individually, Brody Whitehair for the North, 5 of 13. Passing, 6 of 8, 52 yards. Make that, he's 5 of 13 rushing. Tayshawn Roper, 6 carries, 40 yards. Cam Foley, 4 for 14 yards. Cannon Dinger has 4 catches for the North, 36 yards. And Kyrie Bunny, 3 catches for 25 yards. Kane Vance for the South has thrown 4 times for 28 yards, 4 of 7 in the game. And Carson Brinegar is the leading receiver, 2 catches for 18 yards. Savion Brown has a rushing touchdown, and of course the other touchdown coming on the defensive side, special teams variety, as Jeffrey King scoops up the blocked field goal attempt and races 84 yards for the score. South won it a year ago, 21-20 in overtime. South has the longest winning streak in the current era of 7 in a row from 1984 through 1990, and also the second longest winning streak from 2010 through 2015. In 23 schools represented for the North, 21 for the South in this 2025 contest. This game being put on by the West Virginia Schools Athletic Coaches Association. Bob Mullett is the game director, and as always, just an outstanding job by the crew as these players arrived on Sunday. Had the workouts to get it going, 2 workouts a day, and then a lot of neat evening activities such as the movies, bowling, swimming party, and again the Hall of Fame banquet was staged last night. And speaking of the Hall of Fame, the Hall of Famers were honored earlier at halftime, and what a crew it was in 2025. Alex Inkland, a great quarterback from John Marshall High School, played for the late Mike Linsky, not only at John Marshall, but in the North-South game of 1993. He continues to have most of the passing records in the game. He went on to play at Bucknell following his days as a North Bear and John Marshall Monarch. Richie Halstead, we heard from him earlier with Hannah Klein, a member of the Sherman Tide, and played on the second South team when this game was brought back into existence in 1976, helped the South get a win there season by a final of 23-6. That was a team that had the great Robert Alexander, who, of course, went to school right here at South Charleston High School. Mayor Frank Mullins, a great supporter of the North-South Classic. City hosting it since 2018. He was honored at halftime as well. Eddie Suk was the head coach of the South Cardinals in 2011 and guided that crew to a victory. Coach Suk, longtime head football coach at Mount Hope High School and also at Oak Hill High School. And Dr. Steve Thaxton played in the 1982 game and went on to have a wonderful pole vaulting career at Texas Abilene Christian and qualified for the Olympic trials. So quite the class of inductees in 2024 of this North-South All-Star Football Classic here in South Charleston. Want to salute our crew while we have a moment. Our producer is Michelle Carroll. Matt Sampson is our director. John Yost on graphics. Marty Engel, our replay and engineer extraordinaire today. Tanner Perkins, our sound and engineer extraordinaire today, as well as Robert Stegall on the stats. Alicia Walker on one of our cameras, along with the Stark sisters, Kaylee and Kendall. Robert Valencia on camera, and Dan Carney is our red hat. Well, Jim, what did you see in this first half?
Well, saw both teams be able to move the ball a little bit, a little bit of miscommunication. Of course, you're going to know that when you're only going to be in camp for about a week, but a couple of big miscues by the North that kind of led to some help. Of course, that big play right at the end of the half that's really kind of separated the South in terms of the scoreboard. However, the North has the ball when we kick off starting this third quarter, so they can establish themselves, get a good drive, and get some points on the board. That could change their momentum as we start this second half.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. They used all of the quarterbacks they had in camp, and we also saw Ace Flores there in the Wildcat a couple of times.
Yeah, I don't know whether they're looking for tempo or they're looking for somebody that they're more comfortable with. I know that Coach Koger's trying to find, you want to put all these guys in. These guys put in the time in the week, and they put in just as much time as any of the other players, and they are the best of the best in the senior class in the state of West Virginia, and every one of them have an opportunity and should have an opportunity to play in this game.
Yeah, one of the great things about this North-South Classic since Bob Mullett took control 17 years ago, Coach Mullett, this will be it for him, and he's just been outstanding. But the scholarships that they hand out, and the National Football Foundation scholarship honored two young men prior to the game. For North Marion, Gabe Bland, and from Clay County, Noah Collins. So congratulations to those young men, and a lot more scholarship money. A lot of other awards will be, of course, issued after this game here.
Yeah, Mark, it's more than just the competition and the wins and losses. There's a lot of the give back, too. These kids that get rewarded for their hard work, not only on the field, but also in the classroom with these scholarships, and it helps extend them beyond when they head on to their higher education future.
Well, again, it was Savion Brown scoring from 2 yards out in the first quarter. That followed an 89-yard kickoff to open the game by Wayne's Ronnie Staley. Savion Brown from George Washington. And then a nice play on special teams by the South Cardinals as Greenbrier West standout Brandon Potiker blocks the field goal attempt by the Bears. And Jeffrey King scoops it up and races 84 yards for the. So the Bears have returned to the field. Cardinals heading back out as well. Certainly want to salute the North-South band that performed at halftime under the direction of Jonathan Thorne of Andrew Jackson Middle School. So many things surrounding this North-South Classic, and we are happy to be bringing it to you live once again here in 2025. Dustin Koger, the head coach for the North Bears. His crew will try to come back here in this game. Alex Inkland talked about the comeback he helped engineer for the North back in the 1993 game last night during the Hall of Fame banquet.
And we're not talking 31-0. It's 13-0. Certainly manageable for the North Bears. Mark, got to give a shout out to the guys in the trenches. The North offense, Luke Given, Brody C., Hunter Means, Gabe Bland, and John McGee. Those big front five for the North Bears on their side. And then the South offense, you've got Don Wise, Braylon Brown, Braden Casto, Connor Facemeyer, as you mentioned earlier, the state champion. And then rounding it out, Brandon Champion from Oak Hill. Got a shout out to the lineman there when get an opportunity to.
Champion's teammate Mikey Spack having a good game defensively.
He has.
Yeah, just about set for our second half kickoff here. So we are going to break it away. We'll come back in just a moment here inside South Charleston's Black Eagle Stadium.
Sponsored by the Huntington Mall.
Pepperoni rolls on the home side.
No, it's Wallace.
Dinger and Bunny.
No, Wallace. We are back here inside Black Eagle Stadium getting set for the start of our second half. 13-0 lead for the South Cardinals. They will kick it to the North Bears. Cannon, Dinger, and Demarius Wallace back deep for the North. Wallace from Jefferson, Dinger from Fairmont Senior, Peyton Gardenier from James Monroe High School, the Mavericks. Well, there is a favorite place to be.
Absolutely.
Here at Black Eagle Stadium at the Shaved Ice. A lot of vendors here. That is a great atmosphere. Enjoy the second half here. We are happy to have all of you with us here for this 2025 WCHS-TV Fox 11 North-South All-Star Football Classic. And we are bringing you the North-South edition of our Go-Mart Friday Night Rivals. Game of the week. Gardenier puts his foot into it, and that will sail into the end zone. Dinger says, oh, maybe I should have got that, but does go into the end zone. And so the Cardinals on defense here, leading 13-0. We'll see what the North can do offensively.
I would think that Coach Koger's got some purpose and a little bit more fire and intensity onto that North Bear sideline. Try to get these kids in a positive direction. He said we got to kind of refocus, take care of the ball. That's the first thing they need to do. Hang on to the ball. Other than that, they've been able to move the ball with some success on the ground and in the air. So they've got a pretty balanced attack. They just need to kind of hang on to that football.
Jim, I had a list a mile long of things to do, things that were needed, and one thing I did not put on my list was paperweights. The wind is blowing crazy here, high above. Brody Whitehair in all kinds of trouble, and who else but Finney is there to make the tackle. His great game continues as we start this second half. The young man from Scott High School.
You're going to have to trust us on the front end. He's went to the cooler down version of the jersey, rolled up the top end so we can't see the number, but when he turns around, we see the 10 spot there in the back. Finney has been all over the place defensively.
Talked about Bob Mollett and his great career here with North-South as a coach, Concord University high school level for many years, and one of the places he coached was Scott High School. Whitehair fires, Dinger makes the catch, but immediately taken down by Herbert Hoover's Talon Harrison. Harrison going to play his college football for the Fighting Falcons of Fairmont State.
Really good coverage there by Harrison on that, but kind of a minimal gain. Of course, sets up third and very long. What they, probably might need to do is something a little bit safer underneath where they can get try to work on that field position. He's not likely to get 14 on 3rd and 14, but
North 3 out of 8 third down conversions today. Whitehair with A.J. Thomas in the backfield. Low snap, and boy, pressure came quickly. Thomas makes the catch, sheds one tackler, but he's not going to be able to get away from Finney. Well, coming in there with a lot of charge was Connor Ray from Beckley Woodrow Wilson. Whitehair got rid of it, but it's going to bring up a punting situation here for the North Bears. It's not the way Coach Koger wanted to get things started here in this second half, down 13-0.
It just seems, Mark, just reading what I see out there on the field, a little more intensity, a little more purpose out of the South Cardinals than the North Bears, especially since they got the possession to start third quarter. They had a chance to make a statement here. They haven't done it so far.
Donovan Williams will snap it to Caden Hott. Staley and Lambert are back deep, and Staley had the great kickoff return to start the game. They're going to let it roll. And get it there at around the 37-yard line. Josiah Kimball out of Pendleton County there to officially down it for the North Bears. So the South will go to work here. So we'll see Noah Collins again. Didn't see a lot of Collins. He started the game. They got that quick touchdown, and they got Vance into the game.
Vance in there, right?
And we saw Braden Hott. We talked about his great game in that other All-Star event. He booned a 48-yarder there. Still good field position for the Cardinals. So Collins going to play at the University of Charleston. They love to throw that football at Clay County, and now Collins will look. He dashes away from the defenders and driven out of bounds by Clay Walker. So you got a Roane County and knocking a Clay County and out of bounds. Those schools know each other quite well.
Quite well they do. Nice job there by Collins to elude the sack and get at least a couple of yards out of that.
Clay Walker driving him out of bounds. Walker part of a three-pronged attack in that backfield at Roane County for head coach Paul Burdett, who was the winning North coach a couple of years ago. Reagan Casto snaps it back to Collins. He guns it, and the catch is made. A nice job there by Clark, avoiding the defenders. Finally goes down. Noah Hess on the tackle.
Noah Collins' pass is complete to Scott's #1.
So just shy of the first down. Well, they're both going to the University of Charleston. Who knows? Maybe this is looking at the future here for the Golden Eagles. 3rd down and 1 here. Up and I think the North may have just given them that first down.
Yeah, got it the easy way with a hard count there. You know, we teach that fundamental early on, Mark. You know that just as well as I do, that watch your ball, watch your ball. It is so much easier said than done.
Fayetteville's Bob Bates, our referee today, gives us the call. So it's a first down. Our first downs here in this 3rd quarter, sponsored by Bridge Valley. The Cardinals now in North Territory, just beyond the 50. Collins looks, being pressured, will throw, and the catch will be made there. Farrell hauls it in. Farrell with first down yardage to around the 35-yard line.
First down for the South.
In on the stop for the North Bears, Tristan Stevens from Brook High School. 14-yard pickup and another first down. Sponsored by Bridge Valley. Brinegar in motion. The pass with the little flip there. And Brinegar banged out of bounds after about a 1-yard gain.
Scott's #0, Carson Brinegar.
Brinegar not shy of contact, Mark. He doesn't care to lower his shoulder and take a hit and hit.
Yeah, the young man, he reeled off all of his injuries that he endured while at Scott High School, but tough cookie. Now he's going to go to UC and initially run track. That's a great program there with Nick Bies. We've had a chance to do that Mountain East Conference track and field meets, both indoor and outdoor, and we've had a chance to see what UC track and field's all about. Collins avoids pressure, throws, and a catch is made. Touchdown. Braden Clark hauls it in. Noah Collins of the Clay Panthers to Braden Clark of the Scott Skyhawks, and the South adds to its lead here. It's a 34-yard TD pass play.
And Mark, Collins bought a lot of time there with his footwork, eluding, but to give credit to Clark for not giving up on the pass either.
Gardner with the extra point, and he nails it. And it is a 20-0 lead for the South Cardinals here. And Noah Collins waiting for this moment, and he fires the TD pass. We return to Black Eagle Stadium in a moment.
Number 20, Staley. Really nice guy.
All right, it's a 20-0 lead for the South Cardinals over the North Bears here at this WCHS TV Fox 11 North-South All-Star Football Classic, our NS edition of the Go-Mart Friday Night Rivals Game of the Week. Hannah Klein standing by with the gentleman who has certainly cranked it up here and made this event special down through the years. Coach Bob Mullet, take it away.
Right, I can tell anybody in the stands, and they'll say the same thing, that North-South wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for Coach Mullet. Now, you have to talk to me many years, and we talk to you every single year. How's it feel that North-South is already back?
Well, I think it's the best event in the country as far as this type of event for football in the summertime, because it's a 77-year-old game and it's just gotten bigger. The last 17 years, every year it's gotten bigger and better. I was sitting there watching the Queen presentation, the scholarships, the parades, and all the other stuff, the banquets, receptions, and having all these great kids is great.
And I know we always watch the process going into the North-South game. There's a lot behind the scenes. There's a lot of crew members that are helping you as well. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, WCHS, Shane, we meet with the committee up there, and we lay out game plans for the next year, and that's been several months ago. And then, of course, all over the state, WCHS, for us, TV is just phenomenal with the commercials, and you can see by a crowd like this, because in the summertime, when you get a couple thousand people to a football game, you're done something.
Now, Coach, I got to ask you, what's next for you? Another year, or what's going on?
No, I'm going to retire. I've been blessed. I've raised almost $1 million. Scholarships over $300,000 last 17 years, and I reached for the stars, and it's pretty tough to quit, but, the good Lord knows what I need to do, and, other work to do.
I feel like it's a little bittersweet moment right now, huh?
I've cried several times over it. Because, like I said, I invested 7 months in it in 17 years. It's hard to walk away from, because I love the production. I love the fundraising. I love it all.
And I know you can tell me that this is it, but I have a feeling that you'll be in the stands and somewhere in the crowd that we'll find you.
All right. I'll do the best I can to help.
We appreciate you always for everything that you do.
Thank you so much.
Guys, I'll go ahead and sit it back.
All right, Hannah. Bob Mullet. He's a gem. And speaking of gems, a gem defensively for the South Cardinals, Tristan Watts, number 13. And boy, when Thompson's been in there at quarterback, he just has not had time to breathe, Jim, for the North.
There's not getting enough time to set up. And there's really good pressure there. Brody C. wasn't Brody C. Jackson Foster in there from Sherman. A little bit of excitement being a part of that sack attack.
Yeah, Foster, the Sherman side, willing to impress Hall of Famer Richie Halstead here on a Saturday afternoon. A.J. Thomas gets the call. Thomas maneuvers for some nice yardage, gallops up to around the 25-yard line before he is taken out of bounds. Ty Patton of Bluefield racing after Thomas there defensively.
Yeah, good job there by A.J. Thomas. Got a nice seam on the left side. You kind of got to see a little bit of his speed mark. Made up an awful lot of that loss off the sack, so makes it third and manageable.
15-yard gain, still 3rd and 5 here for the blue-clad North Bears. Michael Thompson, the future West Virginia Wesleyan Bobcat, awaits the snap. Gives it to Thomas. Nope, keeps it, and a good job by Thompson, who will get the first down. Excellent play by Thompson, taken down by Wahama's Seth Ollinger.
That's enough for the first down.
And a 7-yard pickup there for Thompson. So breathing room now, Jim, for the North.
Yeah, it was a really good job there by Thompson on that ball fake mark. He kind of rode the back for a little bit longer than he wanted to. Wanted to see the seam before he tucked it back in and got the first down.
And our first down sponsored by Bridge Valley here in the third quarter. So fresh set of downs for the Bears. Trying to get on the board and get in this game. There's going to be that many opportunities, and the pass will fall shy of Terry Ray III, whose father, Terry, is an assistant for the North. So each team has an assistant coach who has a son playing in the game.
And Mark, one of the things about passes like that, and I'm not being critical at all of Michael Thompson, but you really got to almost have a cannon to get that ball out there with some speed so that the receiver can create it in space. The defenders are able to collapse on that because the play develops so slowly. You get very little reward for the risk that you put into it.
Brian Collins, the assistant coach for the South, an assistant at Clay, and the father of Noah Collins, and a strike is fired, and the catch is made, and Terry Ray III will find the end zone for the North Bears. Washington teammates from the Eastern Panhandle, a 68-yard pass play, and the North is on the board.
If they ever needed a score right there, it was, Mark. I'm sure there's nobody prouder at that moment than his dad who's watching it on the sidelines.
Well, you've got one father who watched his son throw a touchdown pass. Another father watches his son
catch one.
gather it in and take it for 6. Well, they will
try
line up
for 2, Mark. Yep.
Thompson looks. Thompson going to go down. And gobbled up there by Fennessy, Potiker, Olinger, and it will stay at 20-6, but the North gets a spark here.
Just the way the South started with 6-0 and they missed their extra point. They missed their 2-point conversion. Perhaps we can get something going here in the second half. I'm sure Coach Koger's looking for a spark defensively from his troops.
5 plays, 80 yards, 2:46 off the clock.
Mark, we're just, we want teams to take care of the ball. We want to, of course, see a good competitive game, but, you're one turnover away from being right back into this game. And it kind of depends really a lot on what South does in terms of them kind of squashing that momentum that North took with that great strike there down the field to Terry Ray III. Hauled that one in and took it all the way in.
It is a purple ticket. The winning number is 369.
Well, the wind whipping up here high above at South Charleston. Get a good look there at Steve Lowe, one of the great athletic trainers in the state of West Virginia. And Steve has been with this game dating back to the early 2000s. So the Reds going to have to kick off here. The South will kick off, Jim, because they do have the rule. If you're down 10 after you score, you get the football.
Well, they can add to that momentum that they got right now with the chance to get the ball, come back down, and just take off again, put that ball, air it out, see what you got. It's a little bit disheartening from the defensive end that now that they've seen that score and they've seen them score, but you got to also understand that, it is up to the defenses. That's their responsibility to stop them.
Well, we had the interview with Bob Mollett and talking about this game. It started in 1934. Bill Calvert of the Cabin Creek District, New River State PE, journalism degrees, 28 years old. He contacted Charleston Gazette sports editor Frank Knight about an all-star game. He was coaching 4 sports at East Bank, so December 26th, practices started. They had him at Victory High up in Clarksburg and Old Laley Field. The temperatures fell into the teens. They went to see the movie Son of Sailor, starring Joe E. Brown. They played pool at the Elks Club, visited the Capitol. The North was dealt with 3 inches of snow. They stayed at the Gore Hotel in Clarksburg, the Holly Hotel in Charleston, and the final score in that one, 0-0.
Well, one of those everybody goes away a winner.
Gardner puts his foot into it, and Dinger will bring it out right around the goal line. And Cannon Dinger will be taken down at the 15-yard line.
James Burrow's Peyton Gardner's kickoff is returned by Fairmont.
And Dinger, outstanding player. Played for Nick Bartik there at Fairmont Senior. An outstanding coach, and stepped away from the Polar Bear program. That this season will be under the guidance of Mark Sampson. But programs like Fairmont Senior, they just never seem to slow down.
No, they just reload. It's not like, well, we're going to have rebuilding here. I don't think rebuilding's in their vocabulary. They just reload and go at it again. Mark, you saw earlier there that you mentioned Peyton Gardner. Last 2 kickoffs at the end zone, the one before that 5 yards deep. So we know he's got plenty of leg strength, as you mentioned earlier, going to walk on at WVU.
All right, so Foley back in the fold, and he fires the long strike. A.J. Thomas, and just like that, we have ourselves a 20-12 game, 85 yards. Cam Foley to A.J. Thomas, Grafton High School to Morgantown High. How about that, Jim Mahan?
Yeah, it's all of a sudden, we've got ourselves a game. Didn't need to turnover. I misspoke earlier. All they needed was possession of the ball, one play, and now we have a one-score game. Regardless of the outcome of this, whether they go for 2 or whether they kick it. Looks like they're going to be going for 2.
And Brody Whitehair, probably now over there on the bench, and he's saying, all right, it's going to be my turn next. 2 big strikes here. Again, the rule. Down 10, you get the football. So Foley is the quarterback. He's got Roper in the backfield. Foley going to Washington and Jefferson. He'll gun, jump ball, and Bunny hauls it in.
And the 2-point conversion pass is
20-14, our score.
Number 18, Cam Foley.
Overtime a year ago, we are much closer here now in 2025.
It is complete to Martinsburg's number 0, Kyrie Bunny.
How about the North Bears?
20, North 14.
And a wonderfully thrown ball and a great catch there by Bunny in the corner, back corner of the end zone to close that deficit to 6. Just a one-score game. Be interesting to see how the South responds, Mark. They've had to do 2 consecutive kickoffs, and now they get an opportunity to have the ball. We'll see how they respond offensively to that explosion here as we're more than halfway through the third quarter.
Well, that big strike took all of 22 seconds. Foley 3 out of 5. 97 yards. At West Virginia Federal Credit Union, they earn your business by creating value to every member. Together, we all win.
And marked on the speakers are talking about higher love. I'm talking about higher intensity from the North Bears as they've cranked this up and ran off 14 unanswered.
And now a squib kick gathered in by Ethan Kay.
I'm sure the folks at home can't see this on their monitor to tell the stations at home, but getting pretty good breeze up here on the top of the press, over top of the very top of the press box. But like you'd mentioned earlier, Mark, we could be using we're using cell phones for paperweights and
binoculars,
water
Robert
bottles.
Stegall.
We'll use whoever and whatever we can.
our great statistician. All right. Collins, the QB for the South. Fired a TD pass a moment ago. Ready to go to work again here. And it is a carry by Savion Brown.
On the carry is George Washington's number 6, Savion Brown.
Yeah, not much room there for Savion to work in. Kind of pinching the inside off that 4-4 defense that the North is running. I would certainly expect Collins to put this one in the air, Mark. They don't want to get too tight, too conservative, too early.
2nd down and 10. 5-man front for the North Bears. Collins steps back, guns it. Looking for Farrell, and the flag's going to come out. Well, he was tightly guarded there by Bridgeport's Alex Moses. Solomon Farrell.
Intended for George Washington's number 2, Solomon Farrell. We got a flag on the play.
Yeah, Moses a little tighter on the hands there, but 15-yard penalty, not spot foul penalty like we see in the NFL.
All right, you got the call there from Bob Bates. So fresh set of downs. Collins, pressure coming. Gillespie and Collins. He stayed up there for a little bit, finally goes down. Good defense by the North Bears. In on the play, also Isaiah Asafo-Mensah out of Washington. We head down to Hannah Klein with our T-shirt gun today and throughout the 2025 FNR season, sponsored by the West Virginia Federal Credit Union.
Glad she's pointing that gun upward instead of out. Well, she got to get a good launch here. She's a veteran at this, Mark. She knows what she's doing.
Well, she was interviewing the Queens at halftime. She's off to Martinsburg this weekend for the Miss West Virginia pageant, and we wish our Hannah Klein all the very best. Collins getting it into the hands of Fennessy, who makes the grab. Well, we've seen Fennessy from a defensive standpoint in this game, Jim, and Jason Nichols says, let's put that big man in, let him catch a pass and take off with it, and he does. Comes up a little ginger there. Well, another first down, or first downs sponsored here in the third quarter by Bridge Valley. It's a pickup of 13. South on the move here.
Yeah, a little concerning, Mark. They're going to take a look at Fennessy there. He caught that ball. He did a nice job. He got popped there, I think, in the left knee. Had a little bit of a limp when he went off. And they're checking him on the sidelines. He's still got a little bit of a limp as he's walking up and down. I hope that young man's able to continue on in this game.
Hannah, she's got it going.
Hannah's shooting it over the stadium.
Well, breaking away is Clark, who has one touchdown catch. He's trying to get into the end zone for a second time. Well, the South unfazed by what the North did with the two big plays to get within 6. And here come the Cardinals on the move. Braden Clark with another Bridge Valley first down.
Yeah, Clark did a great job, Mark, on that initial defense to elude the tackler and gain another 7 or 8 yards after the catch. And that really can be very deflating to a defense when you're able to just march that ball right down the field.
6 first downs this half for the Cardinals. 9 for the contest. The Clay Panther, who gunned for nearly 10,000 yards in his career, unleashes, and the pass nearly picked off by Moses. Moses and Farrell, they were in a battle there. Great sportsmanship there. They'll head back to the huddle and do it again.
Yeah, and a really nice job by the officials letting both of those, the defender and the receiver, play for the ball. Both of them have an opportunity to catch the ball, and that was a good no call by the officials.
Got a great buddy, Kenny Bass, watching us today here, Jim, and
he's a dandy.
Big part of our great football coverage down through the years. Love you, KB, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Miss you, big guy. Wish you the best.
Noah Collins, well, just take off with it. There is a flag down at the 24-yard line.
We'll just have to wait and see on that one. I don't want to be a little bit presumptuous. That was kind of late. That's what I thought it was going to be, a holding against the South.
You ever get called for holding?
The South. Yeah.
All right, so Bob Bates and his crew will walk it off here. Well, the wind's still whipping up here in South Charleston. It's been a good day.
It's the offense, number 56.
And loud and clear from Bob Bates. So they got Braylon Brown from Hurricane on the call, the 6', 265-pounder. He's another one that's going to go to the University of Charleston. 2 penalties on the Cardinals today, 14 yards. Time winding down here in the third. Turned into an entertaining game with a couple of big strikes by the North, and they took advantage of that scoring situation where you're down 10, you get the football back after they scored. So,
yeah, South will need to make up some real estate here to have a manageable third down.
Collins sets up, surveys the situation, and then at the last second will gun it in the direction of Clark.
Clark just seems to find a way to find those open spaces, Mark. He just comes back to the ball well when he kind of senses that Collins might be in some trouble. He comes back so that he can get a sure catch. That's a really nice job by Braden Clark.
That may be our last play of the third quarter of action, and it is indeed. So we are heading to the fourth in a great football game. It's the South 20 and the North 14. You're watching the North-South edition of our Go Mart Friday Night Rivals Game of the Week, presented by Eyewitness Sports. Away we go to the fourth quarter here at Black Eagle Stadium in South Charleston. Sun-splashed Saturday on June 14th. Great to have all of you with us, our North-South edition. of our Go Mart Friday Night Rivals game of the week, presented by Eyewitness Sports. 3rd down and 6 for the South Cardinals. Had a 20-0 lead. But the North strikes for 2 big touchdowns there in the 3rd. Here is Noah Collins, and Collins going to be taken down. Nice piece of tackling there by Akir Johnson out of Morgantown.
Be an interesting call, see what Jason Nichols does here. Mark, is he going to bring in?
Yeah, he's going to bring in Gardner.
Yeah, their talented kicker. He's been in really good rhythm ever since the opening missed PAT. He's really done a good job. So
it's going to be a 33-yard attempt. Caden Vance.
His biggest enemy, Mark's going to be the wind.
Yeah. Connor Ray is the snapper. Vance the holder. It is up, and it is good.
That was effortless.
Yeah. A big swing there of the right leg, and through the uprights it goes. So a 23-14 advantage for the South.
Yeah, obviously the importance of that field goal is it keeps the momentum away from the North a little bit. Plus, it also requires 2 scores from the North to get back into this contest.
And again, Gardner going to head off to WVU, going to walk on there. So the score comes at the 11:48 mark. 8 plays, 51 yards, and 4:21 off the clock.
It was just now we see how the North's going to respond to that methodical drive there. Very nice mixing plays of run and pass from the South Cardinals. We'll see if the North can respond with a drive of their own.
Ladies and gentlemen, please assist when you leave by taking your trash and finding the trash cans.
Jeff Campbell on the PA here, the publicity director for the North-South Classic. Been at it a long time. Honored last night the Hall of Fame banquet and recognized again here today before kickoff. 40 years as the voice of the Greenbrier East Spartans, and of course that means, Jim, that he called a lot of games in basketball, guided by our good late buddy Jerry Bradley. Dinger hauls in the kickoff. Cannon Dinger still moving. Cannon Dinger to midfield. What a return by Cannon Dinger. And right back come the North Bears.
Well, he couldn't scripted better field position for the North Bears going into the South Cardinal territory to start their possession here. And we got tons of time left in this game.
49-yard return by Cannon Dinger. Another look at it there officially now, 47 yards. And Cannon Dinger off to Morehead State. Dom Wise of Nitro, he's going to Morehead State. John McGee of Philip Barber going to Morehead State. John McGee there on the offensive line for the North. Where's number 63? We'll talk about him in a minute. Here is Thomas. Had the big TD catch, and now looking for a TD run, perhaps. Gallops his way inside the 30 to the 26-yard line. A.J. Thomas.
Mark, you can never underestimate Big Mo. You have an opportunity, you get the ball, you get a great kickoff return, and then 21-yard gain ripped off there by A.J. Thomas, the workhorse, back at us again.
This time, though, the North, they are ready. And Jaden Francisco of Bluefield, number 67, will make the stop. I want to get back to John McGee, number 63, right tackle for the North. A year ago, Jim, we were doing this game, and number 61 for the North was a young man from Philip Barber, Keaton McDermott. He played a heck of a game. He was a solid lineman. He was in there blocking when they went for 2 on that final play of the game. And 1 week later, the young man loses his life in a car accident, and they've since named the field house after the young man there at Philip Barber High School. This shows what kind of respect he had. He was known as Beef, and John McGee playing this game in memory of his fallen teammate. All right, the Fairmont senior duo hooking up here. Whitehair to Dinger, and Dinger not going down without a fight.
He just kept on
Yo,
going.
Adrian, right? What an effort by Dinger. That is a first down. Our first downs here in the fourth quarter, sponsored by the Clay Center. And there is Keaton McDermott. Well, you can just tell what a wonderful young man he was, and was going to go to West Virginia Wesleyan and continue to be a competitor in track and field.
Surely never know, do we? We never really know. Just cherish the moments while you have them. He's got an edge.
He's watching from the blue and white skies from the heavens above here, and trying to watch the blue-clad Bears battle back in this one. Another nice run there by Tayshawn Roper. Roper with the 9-yard pickup. He's at 7 carries, 49 yards. And Mr. Math teacher, is that 7 yards a carry?
That's 7 a carry.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All 7s.
Didn't break
Mark
out the calculator.
did not major in math, and he didn't use the calculator to pull that one out.
Get the abacus up here. All right. Right at the 5-yard line. Brody Whitehair gets the snap, turns, gives it to A.J. Thomas, and he's into the end zone for the North touchdown. And back come the Bears.
For the North Bears, Morgantown, number 2, Aaron Thomas.
Nice
A.J.
piece of
Thomas
blocking there, Mark, up front by the big fellas to give A.J. Thomas a little bit of a seam to get into that end zone.
And it's now a 23-20 game. Talking to Alex Inkland last night about that great comeback he engineered for the North in 1993. It was a 24-20 game. And he's watching this. It's not quite that, but he's thinking, wow, haven't I been here before?
Deja vu all over again.
And they're going to try to get to within 2 here. They had Pattison.
I don't exactly know what the stoppage was for. I didn't see a flag mark. So
here we go.
Well, that would be different.
Now Steve Lowe is coming out. I'm not sure.
Coming out, he's going back.
Yeah. Now Steve has just been sensational in what he's done for the North-South Classic.
He's done it in multiple areas, not just football. He also helps out with state basketball tournament as well.
Here's the handoff, and Pattison, the MVP of the Class AA State Championship game, where the Frankfort Falcons garnered the title there in the state capital city of Roane County, and he's got the Bears within 1 at 23-22. We've got a dandy here in South Charleston. We're back in a moment.
Don't really understand.
23-22 our score. A year ago it was a 1-point game. It was overtime. Right now that's where we are here on a beautiful day for football in the Kanawha Valley. A valley steeped in football tradition. Had a long water break here, Jim. How about you and I? We have a little bit of water here. I've gone the entire way with the suit. Have you noticed?
I have noticed that you are donning the jacket and the long sleeve shirt, which you're.
Well, now I had a head cold this week, so I've been trying to sweat it out if I could. It was not a good week to start.
You picked a golden opportunity to try to sweat it out. You're a better man than I.
One of my favorite times of the year, and man, I just did not have energy at all, and fought back, and I'm glad I did because we got a dandy here.
As you always do, Mark. Take
Nice
a break.
to see.
I think there might be some field, do some maintenance on the field. There was perhaps a player that left a little bit out there.
And you got to leave it all out there. That's what your coaches tell you. Julian Pattison scored that 2-point conversion. There's a young man that was first team AA All-State as a running back, 1,457 yards, 30 touchdowns in that state championship victory over Roane County. 5 touchdowns, 178 yards. MVP, played for Kevin Whiteman, who was honored here earlier by the West Virginia Schools Athletic Coaches Association as the football coach of the year. Kim Mazzell of University, the wrestling coach. Amy Kane of Elkins, the swimming coach. Boys basketball, Rick Chafin of Spring Valley. Wheeling Central's Roberta Oliash, the girls basketball coach of the year. Mark Caesar of John Marshall, the baseball coach of the year. His dad, Dave, was the winning head football coach in the 1982 game for the North. Great coach. He threw the ball around. Had Carl Fodor, who's in the North-South Football Classic Hall of Fame, and a Hall of Famer here this year, Dr. Steve Thaxton. He was trying to stop that passing attack that day on the defensive side. Holly Palmer, Paul, the volleyball coach. Vince Colasurto, Shady Spring, the winning coach last year in the game for the South. He gets the track and field honor. Stevie Nutter of St. Mary's, the cross-country coach of the year. Rebecca Miller of Pendleton County, the cheerleading coach of the year. Todd Hare of Petersburg, the golf coach of the year. Eric Fry of John Adams, the middle school coach of the year. Mindy Parks of University, the softball coach of the year. Jamie Tallman, the athletic director of the year out of Union High School, the Union Educational Complex. Our good buddy Harvey Arms, a man, was the Leon McCoy Ethics and Coaching Award winner. Doug Ward of Tug Valley, the School Administrator Award winner. Again, that great Hall of Fame class of Alex Inklin, Richie Halstead, Mayor Frank Mullins, Eddie Suk, and Dr. Steve Thaxton. Mentioned Mark Caesar there. He did not play the game. He went on played professional baseball. But boy,
Mark, these communities that rally around these players, and you see the players' names up on the big billboard in the picture. It's a nice tribute to those communities that bring those kids in from all over, from down Wahama, down in Mason and Scott and Wayne, and all the places in Ritchie County and Harrisville, and just all of them. Ripley. I mean, they just embrace their athletes, and they always want to see them, do well, not only on the athletic field but also in life.
All right, 8:34 to go in the game. Hott puts his powerful leg into it to squib this one, and gathered up there by Kay, and then Kay goes down. I think it was knee goes down at about the 25-yard line or so.
Well, Mark, he was still in the wrestling mode. He was doing like a knee shoot there.
Yeah.
Kind of drug that knee. Thought he was going to get an outside single on that one, but
he was in the state finals along with his teammate Cooper Durst.
Fine young man.
And Ethan Kay going to head to Bridge Valley, one of our sponsors here for this North-South edition.
The pressure clearly back on the South Cardinals, Mark, only up a deuce. Actually, only up a single point here. They're going to have to churn some clock and really take some real estate. They don't want to be on their side of the 50, giving the ball back to the North Bears.
Caden Vance now the quarterback for the Cardinals. Comes in with his team clinging to a 1-point lead. Fakes the handoff and dumps it to Lambert. He'll get that speedster out in open space and see what he can do. But what he does is produce a Clay Center first down.
Yeah, when you see Vance kind of with a little bit of a delay on that mark to get Lambert out and clear away from the defender and then use his speed.
29-yard pickup. There is Connor Lambert, future UC Golden Eagle.
I'm sure Nick Bass will find a spot for him on that track field next year, calling his name out.
2,331 yards rushing this season. Vance fires, looking for Farrell, got the catch, and has the touchdown.
And it's a touchdown for the South Cardinals. Touchdown pass from Westside's 18, Caden Vance, to George Washington's number 2, Solomon Farrell.
Vance to Farrell. 7-point game here at 29-22, and the entertainment continues here at Black Eagle Stadium.
Yeah, Mark, I first thought initially when Vance, when Vance threw the ball to Farrell, I thought it had a little bit too much air on it, but
Gardner with the kick, and it's no good.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lay that one on Gardner because that was a mishold by the holder. He had a lower snap, but probably should have been able to handle it. Couldn't get the ball down for him.
Yeah, Peyton Gardner. They missed there, and that makes it a 29-22 game. 2 plays, 73 yards. Takes 129 off the clock.
Well, South responded when they had to with an airstrike from Vance to Farrell, and now we'll see what the North is going to do and how they're going to respond with just 7 minutes left in this ball game.
44-yard strike, down the handle we go.
Well, let's take a moment to remember Doug Scaff Jr. before the end of this game. He was a former lawmaker and well-known businessman in the Kanawha Valley who tragically died Tuesday in a car crash. He was just 48 years old. Now, before he was a lawmaker, Scaff was actually the senior class president right here at South Charleston High School, and then became the student body president at West Virginia University, where he helped launch events like a WVUP All Night and groups, of course, like the Mountaineer Maniacs. Scaff was also the head of HD Media, which owns and operates the Charleston Gazette-Mail, Herald Dispatch, and other weekly publications all across West Virginia. Now, I've spoken to many people this week who knew Doug Scaff personally. I hear the exact same thing every time, that Scaff and his character is what it meant to be a West Virginian, and he will forever be missed.
That's so true, Hannah. Just a big loss for this area. And our hearts and prayers go out to his family and the many, many friends that he gathered along life's journey.
On the return, Fairmont Seniors, number 12.
Cannon Dinger. So now the North Bears trailing by 7, 29-22. Ready to go back at it here. See if they can get this thing evened up. Thompson's back in at quarterback. Hands it to A.J. Thomas. Thomas tight-roping the sideline across the way. And Thomas took him a while to get started, Jim, but he's shown what he's all about in this game.
Well, he did a nice job of staying in bounds. I thought he was initially going to be out of bounds after a couple of yards, but he was able to kind of tiptoe up the sideline and get about 5. Good job of keeping his balance. He's done a really nice job, been a workhorse carrying the ball for the North Bears.
9 carries, 55 yards. Has a TD, 3 wide for Thompson here. And the lanky Washington QB rolling to his right. Looking and will unleash, and intended for Dinger, out of bounds. Spack knocking Thompson down there, and good job helping him up.
Yeah, good clean play there by Spack, but also letting Thomas know, I know you're there.
Thompson gets the snap. He'll keep. And Thompson has first down yardage for the Bears. Our first downs here in the fourth quarter, sponsored by the Clay Center. Well, this game was brought back to life in 1976. The late John Chamara Bluefield was the head coach for the South, and the late Wayne Smiley Jameson of Bridgeport guided the North. 8-6 game there at Old Laley Field. The 1st and 10 from the 45-yard line. Fresh set of downs here for the North. Handoff, and Pattison now going to get into the act here.
On the run is number 10, Julian Pattison of Frankfurt.
Pattison, Frankfurt. He's going to go to Glenville. Frankfurt High School, formed there in the 70s. Consolidation of Fort Ashby and Ridgely High Schools.
Coach Koger, plenty of time there. 4 minutes left on the clock, Mark. They don't need to hurry up at all. It's just a single possession game for them. Knowing their gambling type antics, they'll be going for 2 if they score here on this possession.
After the game, we will bring you our Big Sandy Superstore play of the game, as Thompson making a big play here, getting the first down. First down sponsored by the Clay Center, and Thompson keeps the North on the move here. 12-yard pickup. But we're talking about post-game. We'll have that play of the game. We'll tell you who the MVPs are.
A really good job by Thompson, Mark, and able to elude the pressure on both of the edges that were collapsing in on him. Saw the seam up the middle, was able to break a couple of arm tackles, get the first down for the North Bears. Keep him in business.
Talk with the winning head coach, Tayshawn Roper, on the carry there. And nice defensive play made by Ty Mitchell. Well, we've had some big plays in this game, Jim. So no pickup there for Roper. I mean, it started with Ronnie Staley.
Right out of the gate with a kickoff and almost ran it back. And a blocked field goal turned into a scoop and score. 2 long touchdown passes by the North Bears. I mean, we haven't really had what we call a sustained drive. The only sustained drive ended up in a field goal for the South from Peyton Gardner. So other than that, it's been explosive play after explosive play.
A great job by the Coaches Association. We talked about Coach Mollett, Wes Eddy, Mark Montgomery, Sarge Cordery. And I am glad, though, it's late in the game, because papers are going in a million directions. As we take a water break here at Black Eagle Stadium. Talk about those MVPs. Started handing those out in 1992. And for the South, it was a young man from right here At South Charleston High School, Mark Terry, a quarterback, played for Bryce Casto. The North MVP was Matt McCulty, who played for Jim Hamrick at Spencer High School.
Mark, that's a couple of classy guys you named there. Bryce Casto, former Ripley Viking, and then Jim Hamrick, the great all-time coach, won the state championship there with the old Spencer High School.
Yes, son. Well, Jim, how about these numbers? So the North rushing 124 yards, 235 yards passing, 359 total. The South minus 15 rushing, 201 passing, and a total of 186. 1 point game, South with the advantage at the moment.
Yeah, they look at all the statistics that they want to, but when you get down there between the lines, that's where the difference is made. And two key pieces have been the turnover part. I don't believe that the South has a turnover. And I believe that the North has two turnovers.
Well, there is.
And I guess if you count a block kick, that might be a third one.
How about that for a relic?
There's a relic from the past.
1979. Jim Mahan not only started, but was a captain. And Jim, talked about the players that were here for a week. You were here for 2 weeks, right?
We were for 2 weeks, and it was hotter than blue blazes. It was pretty hot.
Your team pulls out the win. You got a chance to play with two future NFL All-Pros in Carl Lee and the great Kurt Warner. Tayshawn Roper going to do his best Kurt Warner impersonation there as he's driven out of bounds on the far side.
You know, the thing that was so interesting about Kurt Warner, Mark, is when he came into the camp, he came late because he was winning an award in New York.
Yeah, the Hertz Award. Yeah, the old Hertz Award.
The old Hertz #1 football player award. And, you know, the guys were a little bit kind of disgruntled that we had to do some extra practicing. But he came right in there, put the pads on, and just ran all over everybody. And he gained respect right away.
For sure, high school coach Fred Taylor honored as a Hall of Famer a year ago. Fred coached in this game 3 times, on the winning side twice. He was an assistant the very first 2 years. 76, 77, white hair, quick release, catch made, big hit.
Well, they're both hanging on to it. We're going to.
Well, Bunny made the catch and Staley made the hit. And it is 4th down.
And that clock is rolling.
I mean, it is close.
It's 4th and every set of about a half a yard, Mark.
Whitehair awaits the snap. Whitehair will keep it, and Whitehair will drive. Yeah, good hit there, but let's see. Yeah, P got it. So first down. First down's brought to you here in the 4th quarter by the Clay Center. Great to have them with us here in this 2025 North-South All-Star Football Classic and our upcoming season of our Go-Mart Friday Night Rivals Game of the Week. Great job by our entire crew here today. Could not done it without them. Just a wonderful, wonderful experience for these young men. I mean, Jim, you always say it. If somebody's chosen for this game, you don't crawl, you don't walk, you run as fast as you can to get to Institute and be a part of one of these two teams.
Yeah, it's such an honor, Mark. I mean, you're talking about some of the best players in the state of West Virginia, and you mentioned earlier, I mean, what a blessing to be able to play with guys like Carl Lee. I mean, not just great athletes. Kurt Warner, another good one. Phil Colasurto.
Yeah, we had Phil as an assistant coach in the game last year. You were on the team. We mentioned Steve Edwards Jr. earlier. How about Ed Kiefer?
Ed Kiefer had a great career at Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
I mean, there was another one.
Became a big-time
Eddie Ray
official.
Dias, old Stonewall High School. I mean, really good players. I mean, there were some really good players on both sides, really.
That North team had Reggie Armstead. He went on and had a Great
Cam's
career.
up.
Yeah, Cam's up. And here's a name I'll throw out that was on that North team, Kurt Signetti.
That is correct. He was on that team.
He's doing okay out there in Hoosier land.
He's doing all right.
All right, so we got a first down. There is 1:19 showing on the clock. Well, we could talk all day about the history of the game, just that game alone in 79, but we got a great one right here.
We sure do.
At 29-22, Whitehair drops back to pass. Pressure comes. Brody Whitehair on the move. Will slide down to around the 16, 17-yard line.
Gave himself up a little bit early. They got 2 timeouts, Mark, so they got plenty of time. There's no need to be in a rush.
He was a gamer there in the friendly city of Fairmont for the Polar Bears. Under a minute to go in the game. Gain of 9, 2nd and 1. Whitehair sets up, unleashes, and a catch. Unable to be hauled in by Terry Ray III, who had that touchdown earlier in the game.
Yeah, that hit him in the wrong place, right between the hands. That's tough, though. With the wind, Mark, it's harder to make adjustments like that, you know. I mean, but he probably should have caught that ball on the sideline. Probably wish he had another chance at it.
Wind flapping up here and certainly down below.
Good news is it stops clock, so they got plenty of time to regroup.
Well, we enter each and every game we do, each Friday night, and certainly North-South Classic. We want great games. We've had it here this afternoon. Coming down the wire as it did in 2024. Whitehair. Well, he avoids one tackler, but not the second. Tristan Watts of Spring Valley takes him down. The future Marietta College Pioneer with the big stop.
Yeah, they're running the clock, but I think they're going to have to go back and Mark reset it. Coach Koger called timeout somewhere around the 45, 46-second range, perhaps.
Well, he avoided Jaden Francisco, but he could not get away from Watts.
Yeah, Watts is able to wrestle him to the ground.
Watts played for Brad Dingus, the head coach in this game. Francisco for the legend there in Bluefield. Fred Simon, another head coach in this game.
And fans reacting to the clock going to 0-0, although there is a stoppage in play and with the timeout. That still leaves the North with 1 timeout. Of course, the South has their full package of all 3 of them. So, you know, of course, it comes down to this, Mark. It's 4th and 5. You're either going to convert and get the first down, or you're going to score, one of the two. If you don't convert and get a new set of downs, the game's over. I would suspect they would put a ghost, just like a spy, on Whitehair. Whitehair's been pretty good at eluding some of the sacks, especially pressure off of the edge. I figured they'd put a spy on him just to make sure that he doesn't try to scramble for that 5 yards to get a first down.
All right. Well, some people, I'm not sure what they're arguing about. I mean, there certainly there's not zeros on the
Be
clock.
honest with you, Mark. I mean, when I saw Coach Koger call the timeout and the whistle, and I watched the official blow the whistle, it was about 44, 45. I mean, so, you know, they're really not really going to be, you know, giving them too much of time-wise. But
the incompletion was at 46, so prior to that. So, all right. As you said, though, Jim, you need at least 10.
Here's your game.
At least 5.
It's your game. Got to get it. Got to convert or game's over. I figured the South would call a timeout. See what kind of formation they were in, Mark.
4th and 5. Well, it started. Ronnie Staley nearly took the opening kickoff back for a touchdown. The very next play, Savion Brown of George Washington was in for the score. The extra point was missed. Staley, a young man out of Wayne. Then right before the half, North trying to get on the board. They attempt a field goal. It was blocked by Greenbrier West Brandon Potiker, and Jeffrey King scooped it up and raced 84 yards for the score. And then in the third quarter, the South adds to the lead. Noah Collins fires a TD pass to Braden Clark, 34 yards. College from Clay County and Clark from Scott High School, but not so fast. The North got on the board. Big time play. Michael Thompson to Terry Ray III, 68 yards. And then they were down more than 10, so they got the kickoff. They got the ball back. That's the rule here in the North-South. And it was Cam Foley firing to A.J. Thomas, an 83-yard pass play. And a 33-yard field goal by Peyton Gardner. It's been just back and forth. A.J. Thomas.
There we go, Mark.
Scored a TD. And then Vance DeFaro. White hair, looks, rolls, looking, guns, and now there's a collision. There are no flags. And it looks as though the South has held on here defensively.
I don't see any laundry out on the field. Looks like it'll be a turnover on downs for the North. Good job by the South in that secondary, staying home with the people they need to stay home with and not trying to make something out of nothing, just defending the player in front of you.
Now the Cardinals will take over here. 32.7. South, the home team in this 2025 game. They rotated each and every year.
The old classic victory formation, Mark, you'll see. They only have the one timeout. They only stop the clock once. Good sportsmanship there by Braden Clark.
Vance is the QB. And that will do it. The handshakes will begin, the hugs. Well, each year, you know how hard they work, and they have to do it in a short amount of time. And you always hope if you can have a good one, and we had a good one. And the South prevails for a second straight year by a final of 29-22. Clock running out, and Jason Nichols and the South Cardinals prevail over Dustin Koger and his North Bears. Terrific action, and we'll come back and we'll recap it for you in just a moment here. Watching live coverage of our North-South edition of our Go Mark Friday Night Rivals Game of the Week. We're back in a moment. Well, it is time now for our Big Sandy Superstore big play of the game. And how about play number one, Jim Mahan?
Right off the gate, the kickoff, and then you see Staley, he just finds a seam and Mark gets up the sideline and almost gets into the end zone.
Ronnie Staley sets the stage for the South Cardinals. They never trailed and they would win it by a final of 29-22. So that is our Big Sandy Superstore, big play of the game. Big Sandy Superstore, living super, has never been so easy. And well, one of the easiest jobs for our Hannah Klein is to talk to the victorious head coach. Take it away, Hannah.
Mark, it's one of my favorite jobs that I am able to do. And first, what you guys missed was that amazing celebration. He's now soaked, and I wish I was soaked because it is a hot one today. How is this moment right now? I've been watching you come up and hug a lot of these players from both sides.
Well, these kids mean everything to me. That's the one thing. Coach Ron Sirk, Clay County High School, he was everything to me. And as a coach, I want to be an inspiration to kids, and I get the privilege to do that. I'll take a busted lip on the celebration. I'll take a little bit of water on the celebration. I just love being around kids. So, yeah.
And Coach, the things that people don't realize when they're in the stands is the preparation that goes into this, because you only have a week. So it's multiple things. I know they are able to do the banquet and the swimming pool and the bowling alley. There's a lot of preparation that goes into this one game.
Oh, there's a lot of preparation. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. I mean, the kids they're just, you know, they got to be here, they got to be there, they got to be here, and they're just wanting a little bit of downtime, and you know, so I'm just so happy, so proud of them, yeah.
For you, it's been 10 seasons. Watching, this is pretty much the last chapter for some players. They're closing that book or they're moving on to something else. What's that mean for you personally as a coach?
Well, I'm just thrilled that God has put me in a position to have an opportunity to be a small part of their life.
All right, Coach, I'm going to let you go celebrate with your team. Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Guys, I'll send it back to you.
All right, Hannah, before you go, best of luck in Martinsburg, my dear, as she goes for that Miss West Virginia title. All right, Jim Mahan, our MVPs of the game for the winning South, Jeffrey King of Bluefield, and for the North, Michael Thompson of Washington.
As King was the one that scooped up that blocked field goal attempt right at the end of the second quarter and ran it to pay dirt, and great job of both of those athletes. And Mark, I'll say there's a whole host of MVPs out there. Those kids put in a lot of time and effort and their talents, and a lot of them are going to take their talents on to the next level. Just hats off to everybody for just a classy game and everything that goes with it.
Yeah, and again, our great salute to the outstanding Bob Mullet and all the great work that he and his crew do. So that's going to do it here. Been fun being a part of yet another WCHS TV Fox 11 North-South All-Star Football Classic. Great Weekend Institute wraps up here in South Charleston, and along with the coaches and others, it has been a big stretch, and it's something they will never forget the rest of their lives. So for our color analyst, Jim Mahan, a former South Cardinal himself, the talented Hannah Klein on the sidelines, on our magnificent crew, this is Mark Martin, and we say so long from Black Eagle Stadium here in South Charleston. Your final, the South Cardinals 29 and the North Bears 22. We thank all of you for watching today's North-South edition of our Go Mark Friday Night Rivals Game of the Week, presented by Eyewitness Sports.